Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Martin. I'm an aspiring author. I'm in the process of getting my very first manuscript edited in preparation for publication, and I'm here to start a YouTube channel. As I was thinking about what I wanted to share, one of the things that popped up was just getting a first draft. There are so many people I have spoken to who would love to write a book but have never got to the point where they've got an entire manuscript ready to go. So I wanted to talk about it because I think that everyone has the ability to write a book if they really want to, and I thought I'd share my tips for how I got my book completely through the first draft, the second draft, all the editing, my own self-editing, and at a point where it's getting edited by a professional. So here they are, some of my tips for getting that very first draft on the page. First step, have a love of books. It's kind of kind of obvious, but really, if you want to write a book, you kind of want to be able to have a love of reading as well. The art of writing comes partly from having an inspiration from stories, having books that you just love, that somehow capture something within you that you want to share with the world. It might be slightly different if you're writing non-fiction, but if you're writing fiction, you really want to have a love of the media that you are trying to create. If you really sit down and think about it and go, I want to tell a story, but actually I don't want to write a book, that is totally okay. There are lots of ways to tell stories. There are short stories, there is playwriting, there is screenwriting, there is poetry. Just because you have a story that you want to share, it doesn't mean you have to write a novel. So one of the first things I would say is just have a think. Do you really want to write a novel, or is there some other format of storytelling that might be better suited to the way you work? Second thing is you need an idea. And sometimes that can be hard, but you're not alone in that. I can't think of a single author I've heard of who had a whole story fully fledged spring to their mind in an instant. There's that classic tale of C.S. Lewis just having an image in his head of a fawn with an umbrella at a lamppost. And from that image, he crafted this incredible work of fiction that has become a classic and a favourite children's story for millions, probably, of readers. It doesn't have to be the same for you. It might be. There might be images in your head that you can see crystal clearly that might just be one little piece of the puzzle. For other people, it might be a piece of music or a setting. There might be a place that you have visited that just inspired something within you. Maybe it was a piece of artwork or a theme that is really close to your heart. For instance, the power of friendship, or the importance of friendship in people's lives. Maybe that's something that you feel really deep within you and you want to explore. That in and of itself is the seed of a story. Add to that maybe a favorite location. Maybe you absolutely adore the seaside, so it's set at the seaside. Two or maybe more friends going through a rocky relationship, and the waves crashing on the shore is a metaphor for their rocky relationship. In that, you have the seed of a story that you can build from, just a spark. So if you feel as though you don't have any ideas or you're not sure, start to think about those things that you love, that inspire you, that mean something to you, and use that as a way to start your brainstorming. Step 3 is a commitment to learning. Writing a book is a massive task, and there is so much to learn. Even the most avid reader, while you might have good instincts, you don't actually have the full capacity, the full understanding of how a book might be structured, and there's never a point where you know it all. You have to be willing to learn. Some great resources that helped me get to the first point of writing were books by C.S. Lakin, particularly The 12 Key Pillars of Novel Construction and Layer Your Novel. Jenna Maricci's YouTube videos are a big help, as well as J.F. Penn's podcast. They're just a few, but you really have to be willing to learn how to create satisfying characters and character arcs, how to have conflict both internally with your characters and externally in the world around them, how to build in a theme so your story means something, and how to craft setting, how to create good dialogue and good scene structure, how to pace your novel. There is so much that goes into learning how to create a satisfying story. So you have to be willing to learn. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect right at the start, but you learn as a process. But you need to understand that is something you're going to have to do. The next step I think is crucial is planning. I'm a planner. I know there is this classic divide of planners versus pantsers, but for me, I think planning is the way to go. I'm not saying there's one right way to write a novel, and for some people, it's perfectly okay to just fly from the seat of your pants, but my success only came when I knew exactly where the story was going before I sat down to write the first chapter. Planning meant that from that moment where I started writing, I knew where the story was finishing. I knew where my characters started in their arc, the journey that they went through, and where they finished. I knew what the underlying root of the conflict was before I'd even started writing it. Being able to see that, being able to know that structure, meant that I was able to ensure that the pacing was good, that I had all the elements that I needed, that I had those key moments for the story in roughly the right place, so that when I sat down, I wasn't left wondering what on earth do I write next, because I already knew. And I was excited because there was more coming. That conflict was growing, the stakes were rising, and each scene was getting me a bit closer to that absolute pinnacle, that penultimate moment. And it was so good because I was never left wondering what I would be writing next. Planning a novel in and of itself can be kind of scary, and this is again where that learning comes in, learning how to plan and structure a novel. Again, I cannot recommend highly enough The 12 Key Pillars of Novel Construction and Layer Your Novel by C.S. Lakin. Massive, massive help and incredibly good resources. The next one is commitment, and we talked about a commitment to learning before, but now I'm talking about a commitment to writing. This is going to be a process, and it is going to take a lot of time. I'm not talking days, I'm not talking hours, I'm talking weeks, potentially months, and potentially years of work. Not just the first draft, but the second draft, the editing, the third draft, the preparation for a professional editor, hunting down a traditional publisher, working out how to self-publish or something in between. It's a long process, and what's going to carry you through is being committed, having a love of writing itself. And this kind of ties back into that first point. As long as you love what you're doing, it makes it so much easier to sit down and write day after day. And again, this is where the planning comes in. If you know what you're writing, you don't have to sit and just stare at the blank page with no idea. If you want to write a book, you love storytelling, you love writing, stay committed to that and you will get there. As Vincent van Gogh supposedly said, great things are not done by impulse, but a series of small things brought together. You're not going to write it all at once. Sometimes it's going to take time and revision and rethinking and brainstorming and writing and editing. So just hold the course. This is a bit of a bonus one, but if you can find somebody you know who loves writing and wants to do it too, see if you can get a bit of a writer buddy system going. Write together, talk together, plan together, have someone to bounce your ideas off who can help you hone your craft. Just having that additional amount of support can be really helpful. And if you don't know someone, then maybe try to meet some people. See if there's a writers group in your town or your city, or go online and see if you can find a writer community on Facebook or YouTube. Be careful, be safe, but also having that little bit of connection with other writers can make all the difference. So what do you think? These are just an overview. There's so much that goes into writing your first draft, but these are some of the big things that I think really helped me. Knowing that I wanted to be a writer, planning it out, taking time, being committed to learning and to putting in the hard work, and to really sit down and develop those ideas, which takes time and is a process in and of itself. And all of these I can cover in more depth in the future. But let me know what you think. Have you written a book, or are you trying to? What are the things that have helped you throughout the process? Looking forward to chatting to you again soon.